Hi everybody, I'm just about to start on my next Project Life album layout, and I'm thinking outside the box this time. I'm actually using a paper line that I've never used before from arty, and it's called Forever My Always, and it's all in navy blues and browns. You could actually use a bit of gold foil with this if you wanted to as well, to give it some oomph. So the paper line, when it does come, it's really a nice paper line. It actually, I'll just show you some of the papers here. It has your 4x6. It also has, like this, it also has a cutout page with lots of roses with your blue. It also has a word sheet that comes with it with a backing, and it has a sheet here, and it has two sheets here which I don't actually use with my collection, but what I want these for, I want to do some 12 by 12 layouts to put in the front of my album and also the back of my album, and they're such pretty papers, they'd be very easy to do with a bit of layering. So that's what I'm going to use these two pieces for. So this piece here, I actually only basically use a lot of these flowers for layering, and some of this wood grain I actually use in my piece. So you still have this piece here to do some of your 12 by 12 layouts. I do cut this sheet, which I use this one here, the 6 by 4, the 6 by 4, this one here, this one here. You could also use all your words here. So you basically need to cut this up into 3 by 4s and 6 by 4s and put them to one side when you're doing your cutting. The title card that comes with your pack, I've also used this back paper as well. I use most of this paper, and I use a little bit of this paper here. This is what I'm not using. I do a lot of the cutouts with these. I use a lot of these flowers for cutting out. So you just sort of need to work out which flowers I've used to do that. You can sort of see here on this one here. I'll put it up against the navy blue so you can see. You can basically see the flowers that I've actually physically cut out of that cardstock to make the cards. Also too, a little hint with this word sheet. When you're cutting out your words, you can use lots of different words, but try and make sure that your font matches. So the next, because I've already done a layout, I'm making out a second layout. Just try and keep your fonts the same when you're actually working on your layout, because it does actually make a difference to the finished result. Now, one of the most important cuts, all the rest are really easy. This piece of paper here, I have actually cut in half, which is your 6 inches, mainly because I want this piece here of these flowers to use for an eye candy card, and I've cut this tiny little bit here out. The rest we can work it all the way through, but this is one of the most important cuts that you need to do first on your piece. I also have added into, I've just done some heartfelt stamped flowers, which I've just coloured with a bit of burgundy to add a bit of oomph. When I cut these out, I will just edge the tips with a little bit of blue just to make it work with this layout. And I haven't shaped them or anything else because I want them for sitting under things. I also decided to use a navy blue backing paper, which you need about 2 sheets of navy blue, and I decided on my photo mats to use white. I didn't like the cream with this because you've got a lot of white. And you can't use navy blue as photo mats because if you're doing photographs, they don't look nice. So you either have to have cream, white or black with your photo mats. So I've decided on white for those. So with no further ado, we will get on with making our cards for our layout. I thought before we start making the cards, I might just show you which flowers to cut from this papers really quickly. I've got some circles here of the flowers you need to cut. And also when you're looking at the paper, the name strip is at the bottom. It is the top corner one that I have used. And I use the flowers here, here, here and here. I also use a strip of this and a strip here of this, so you could actually cut these flowers out to give. So we will just very quickly, and I will speed this up as I do it so it's really quick, but you can see what I've been doing. So this is what we end up with. These were from the cutout sheet, and this one was from the sheet here up the top. And we also need the piece of card here and here for some of our layering. So that just gives you an idea of what sort of flowers that you will need. Also too, I have worked out you need in your navy blue card, you need 6 6x4 mats, 2 3x4, so you can just cut your paper like that and in half, and that would give you your 6. And then the rest of the blue card is using for matting. And also with the white, you have got 4 mats of 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, 2 mats at 3x4, and these are for the small cards. You've got 4 3x4, but what I do, you've got 4 of these. You need to get your cutter and just take 1/8 of an inch off both sides so that it will have just a border round your 3x4 cards for your mats. So do that for 4 cards. Like so, and they are all your smaller mats, and it's as easy as that. So that will give you all your photo mats and your backing mats on your navy blue. Okay, we'll start on our first card now. This time it's going to be a little bit easier because I have actually made an extra layout, so you can actually see the finished card. So I will just run through the making of the card. I don't normally do it this way, but I wanted an extra set of these cards for a present for someone else, so it will make my life a little bit easier. So what we have got here is our 6x4 in the blue, and I have cut from the stripe card that we cut our bits out of on the other side that had the print, making sure that the print runs crossways. And always when using a stripe, always make sure for the rest of the layout that you actually use your stripes running the same way. Otherwise it just looks a little bit funny. Now I have used a blue ink for edging, which is I've just used the Ranger. So what you need to do is very softly just go over the edges to give yourself a little bit of the blue on your edges. Now we'll stick this. Now this card here, I have chopped off a 1/4 of an inch on one side and a 1/4 of an inch off the top. So that actually gives us an 1/8 of an inch border all the way round this particular card. Now this is the piece that I've got off of the paper sheet that had the 4x6s by 3x4, so I have just cut this out. Now I have trimmed this slightly down to be, it's just a little bit under the 4 inches, but that doesn't really matter. So what I have done, I actually have cheated. I actually just eyeballed, put it onto the blue card paper stock. Let's just see, like on a piece of card like that. I've just sort of placed it on, which of course if you were doing this you would actually stick it down first, and then I've just eyeballed it and cut it with my scissors. And when you're doing cuts like this, always use a large pair of scissors, and when you're cutting, don't go to the end of your scissors, and just move them along till you get to the end, because when you're cutting with scissors you sometimes get a little nick at the end. So the idea is when you get near the end, lift your scissors up, and that way you get quite a nice straight cut. It's just an easy way of cutting your card. But for the speed of these videos, I tend to cut all of my cards ready to go. So we place this. Now I want this to be laying once again with just that tiny little bit of border across the top. So straight away we will just now the reason why I edged this card, because there's not many colours, this just gives a little bit of pop. Now with my flowers, I have edged them with the blue around the edges like so. Now the reason why, when you cut these cards, you'll find you get little bits of white. So if you go round with your blue, it just covers all of those little mistakes that you make when cutting, and it really does make a difference to your flowers doing that. As you can tell here, you can actually physically see it cuts all the little bit white bits out. So it is a good way of doing your flowers. Now with these ones, I've just edged these in a little bit of the brown. I've just gone round quickly and softly, just to give them a bit of more, they were very flat leaves. As you can see here, they had no colouring, so I've just added that little bit of shading to do it. Now these are the hand cut flowers that I've done from Heartfelt. What I'm going to do with these, as I explained before, I'm just going to add on the tips of the leaves these are the type of things that I have an afternoon where I just sort of make some flowers of different colours. I wanted some burgundy flowers, so I've done these. I quite like the flat flowers. But what I can do with these to give them a bit of oomph is to get a silica mat. Any mat will do. And I tend to just poke them in the middle. And the silica mat allows you to do that, and it just gives your flowers that little bit of oomph. But with the heartfelt, I actually have bought their mould, and I find that mould is really, really a nice thing to have. So now let's just start putting, so we just need to put our flowers here. Now I have just put one piece of tape through, and what I've done, I've just positioned it sort of into the center, but the big flower is just offset. I don't really like things being all central, so just very gently just tap it down. And then what I do is, as I said, it's really easy this time because I've done it before. You can actually just layer underneath. Sort of just layer your leaves and things around. Okay. And then stick them down. Now you can use glue or you can use tape. Glue is quite a good one because you can actually play with things for a little while before you stick them down. And then I got myself a pen. Now these are really good because if they are an erasable. So if you make a line, they've got a rubber on the end and you can actually erase it off. So if you make a mistake, it's really quite clever. So just follow the line and just put some lines. Once again, I'm just adding a few details here. I'm just sort of adding the veins to the leaves. And there we have, oh, now with this one, we have on this day, and as I said before, be very careful when you have word sheets that when you're cutting out, you try to keep your fonts the same, because if you put a different font like this to the other fonts, it will look funny. So if you use a script, try to stay to a script or your square print. It just makes your layout look a lot better. So here I could put like special and use different words, which is something I think I might actually do. So on this, I'm just going to eyeball this and I'm going to take it down. Now I don't, now I'm just going to put a bit of blue around this to give it, to make it all gel. So we're going to stick this to the white card. Now the reason why I put it on card, was because it's on a dark background. If you just put it there, it doesn't really pop. Whereas if I just put a tiny bit of white, now I'm just going to eyeball this with the scissors. It just makes that special stand out. So we're going to put this onto my card. Now, because this is slightly different to the other, I'm going to just pop it down a little bit underneath the flowers like so. Like that. So there we have our first card finished. Now our next card, we have a little bit of cutting, which is this card here. We have got a little bit of cutting. This is the sheet that you had with your flowers. As you can see here, that's been cut. We cut all of these to actually do all of our little flowers and bits and bobs. And etc. So we still had this left for our other sheets that I want to do, but I needed some of this inside. So when you've got your sheet like this, you need to cut. I want a long strip for one of my portrait cards, so I'm just going to cut a big chunk and just pop that to one side to keep for our other card. Now for this particular card, we need to chop as much as we can. And we need our card to be 3¼ inches. I'll go there. Just rub this one out. Okay, so we're just going to make a nice straight edge like so. Now, okay, once we have done that, what this is for is it will fit just on our card like so, so we have our little border all the way along. So I'm going to cut a straight edge here for our card. So that works out to be about 3¼ by 3¾ I said it doesn't matter what size it is across here. Okay, so what we need to do here is we need to edge our card. And we're going to stick this down with that border. Now this particular one, I wanted the extra photo mat. And as you can tell, I have cut this, and it is the one time, the reason why I wanted the larger photo mat was the only way I could get, it was from this card with the 4, it would normally go this way because the print's running this way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover it up so it doesn't, you can't see the print. So we just put this here, and to cover this up I have got your photo mat, which is your 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, so that a true 3x4 photograph. And once again, I've eyeballed it onto the blue mat and just cut my matting to correspond with my photo mat. So we're going to stick that straight onto my photo mat. Normally what I would do is actually stick this down then cut. So then you would actually have it absolutely straight. Okay, so what we do now is to cover that print up here a very sneaky way, is to put that. So once again, you've got borders, but you've got that tiny border, even both sides. Now the florals I used with this was just a leaf, one of my little flowers, which once again, we're just going to colour. Like so. We'll get our little rubber mat, give it a bit of a screw with. You could screw these up and all sorts. Now with this one here, I haven't gone round this, and you will definitely see the difference once I'm finished. There we go. So this is going to go here. Now you can actually see I have not cut a piece of this out, so I'm going to go in. There we go. That looks better. Okay, so I want this to just offsets. As you can see, this is a little bit different to this one, so it's going to be a little bit taller. And I'm going to have the flower here, which once again we'll go round and we will colour those bits. And this one goes underneath. Put a leaf. Because that's taller, I'm going to change it slightly and put the leaf a little bit taller, like so. And bring that across and put the leaf in here. Okay, so we're going to stick that down now. We'll just stick that down and make sure you can get your photograph underneath. Stick it in the center, so if your photograph will go underneath that flower. Now with the leaf, just give it a bit of colour. Now I'm going to pop that in a little bit lower. And once again, just put some of your filigree. So there we have our next card. Finished. Now I have got a 6x4 of the paper that I've added. I have cut this small, the 3x4 little card out, which I'm going to put just here, as you can see. Now I have made that to be 3 1/4 by the 3 inches. So what I have done with that, I have edged around the edge. I need to edge the edge of this one. Just to tie everything in. Now we'll pop this on, and we need an even border. Like so. And I have got, this came off the flat piece of the card that I was cutting off, but because I've done it on the left hand side, I can tuck it underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my blue card down first, leaving a little border at the top, at the bottom, and an even border all the way around. Now when I put the white on, I have made sure I haven't taped the whole thing in. And the blue mat, once again, I just eyeballed it and cut it with scissors to make it fit. Now this here, we'll just edge it with blue. Like so. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to tuck this under, not the blue, but under the white. And stick it in. And then bring it out as far as you can. Now this little piece here, like so, and get your pen and just do your few lines, and I will do sort of a V piece, and then just do a stem like so. And there we have another completed card. This is our last 4x6 landscape. So this was on one of the back of this sheet here, which so I've cut it out. Now this one was just some smudgy paper that I used a small sheet of. Now I've edged both of these cards with the blue ink. Now I'm being very careful here because I nearly made a mistake because my newsprint is running downwards, and that would have been a very bad mistake to make. So this goes up into the top corner, and I've got a 3x4 photo mat card here, and that is going on to the blue. Now if I'm cutting mats like this, I normally stick the card to the mat and then eyeball my cut. But I didn't, so it's already stuck down. So this time I'm going to stick the blue and then stick this down because it's easier to get my borders correct. Now we've got some flowers here. I've got a leaf, the small one, and one of the double ones. Now as you can tell, we put the double underneath with the flowers. So I'll just reconstruct this. I said this is being very easy for me because normally I have to do these on the fly. Now I don't like that leaf being there, so I'm going to cut that off. And the leaf, I'm just going to pop up out the way. This leaf here, I want underneath. So virtually what you do is you just build up your flowers. So now, as you can tell, this one hasn't got a stem, so we'll just make one. Now with your leaf here, I'm finding that a bit too big. Unfortunately, my small scissors have gone wonky, so I just have to use this big pair. If you don't like something, and there we have a very simple card completed. Now these are our 3x4 cards to finish our layout, and once again I've got 2 photo mats, which all I have done is I've got my 3x4 of the gold. I have just edged that. And then all you have to do is just put your white cardstock on. Now remember that we cut these cards with just a slither off the 2 sides, so that when you put them on your 3x4, you have just a tiny little border, so that when you put your 3x4s, you just cut a bit off of your picture and they will fit. So that's that card there. This one is exactly the same. You just use some scrap paper just to give you a border. If you don't want a border, you could actually just put a white photo mat in by 3 by 4 and then just put your photograph in and just have a white edge around as well. So there's that one. So they're really very easy cards to do. This one here is just off of that card with the saying, and that is 3 by 4, so that will just slide in. It's something I don't do very often, but I particularly liked this card, so that's what I've done with that one. So that's our 3 done. Now this one here, what I've got is your 3 by 4 in your blue. I have got a 3 by 4 which I have just cut the floral out, and I want my floral to be here with this bit covered up like so. Now I'm going to cut off a 1/4 inch off there and a 1/4 inch off there, which will then give me an 1/8 inch border. So we just need to edge our card and get our card down. And stick that on so you've got your border all the way around. Now what I've done here, I have cut a piece of the blue card, but as you can see the border isn't enough, so I am going to cut off so that now is 3.5 by 2. So that's 3.5, and I've made that now 1 3/4. So we'll stick that one down. Like so. Now with this one, I will just measure it up so that I've got a tiny border around, and I'll snip there we go, just like so. Now I'm going to edge that with blue. We're going to stick that down. So now the words, I've used some of the script, so it's the same. Now I have just put that onto blue card, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to the easiest way of getting borders around your words is to and now forever. So just play with your words. And I found you can see a different flower, but the same thing will apply here. And just lay them on. And there is that card finished. It looks complicated, but it's not. So with this one, I will lay it with my border. I've done the and here because it does actually fit. It just looks better. Now I've etched my flowers in the blue. And there we have our cards. So we have our two with photo mats, our writing, and our card. And I would lay them like so. This one has a 6x4 blue mat behind. Now this was the card that I said was most important to cut from your sheet so that you had your flowers. Now you'll see why. So I've edged that in blue. So we are going to put that onto our photo mat with just the border. And this is what I class as an eye candy card. Now I have stamped from one of my stamps like a journaling spot here, which I wanted just here. Now I'm only putting a little bit of tape on this. So I'm going to place that down. Now I've cut some flowers there which I want over the top. So I will place that in a position that my flowers will go over the top. Now I've edged these with a little bit of brown over the top, so I'm just going to pop that down, which makes your journaling spot just stand out a little bit. I have edged my flowers just with a bit of blue on the edging. Now for this one, I am going to pop underneath. This flower here, I wanted some navy blue, so I'm going to introduce this so that this flower looks like it's over the top of these two flowers. So I'm going to pop that there. Like so. And I'm going to sticker. So it just shows that you can change things up quite easily. I'm just going to slip that one underneath with a little bit of a petal over. And the same goes for this one. I'm going to slip him underneath, and my leaf, I'm going to really tuck him underneath like so. Now we just need our little lines that we've been putting in with the leaves. And there we have, oh, and then what I've done with this word, I've just stuck it down onto my blue card, and that is going to sit just up into the top hand corner like so. And there we have our card. Now with this card, I've got your 6x4 blue mat. I have cut the sheet here. We're going to stick this down. Now I have edged this card. So I've edged all the way around. Now that piece of paper that I said to cut and keep it safe, I have lost mine somewhere, so I've just made a mock-up. Now this is 2 inches by roughly 5 1/4, and the reason why I want this is going to do the layering. So I'm going to have a card over the top of this, so I've just had to make do. Now I'm going to stick that down so that I've got a slight border. Now I've got my 3x4 white photo mat here, which I will pop onto my mat, which has just got that tiny little border, as all the photo mats do. And then we will cover up the mistake. Now I also took a inch strip of the sort of gold filigree, and what I'm going to do here is just leave a tiny little border. Now as you can see, I need to chop some of this off. I'm just going to chop a bit off. Now I've edged this card, stuck it down onto my blue, and then chopped. Now that should now do another border, so you've got your 3 borders, and making sure that your borders have the same distance apart. So now we'll stick that down. Right, so now we'll lay our other card right in the middle so that you've got your layers. And here we go. Now, I didn't have these flowers, so I've just picked at random some flowers that I can just tuck in. And just play around with them a little bit. And once again with this, I am putting my flowers underneath the white card here. And there we have our card. So I will just glue these down. No, I've decided. Now, I think this flower's a bit too big, so what I'm going to do is make this rose slightly smaller. And I'm definitely going to pop it underneath the blue, because I didn't like it on top of the blue. So there we have a very similar card using different flowers. With this card, I have cut from the paper a 6x4 in the actual patterned paper. I have then cut a blue mat, which is 2 1/4 by 5 1/2, so that will just sit up here like so. This has a lot of matting done to make things pop, and I got some of the sort of sparkly, what I call sort of gold spludgy paper, and that is going to sit. So that is 2 by 5 1/2, and that will just give a little matting all the way round. I'm not particularly worried here because I'm going to be covering all that up. So now this is 3 1/2 by 4 1/2, because I wanted the larger photo mat on this. So we are going to pop this down once again with the Eva border either side, so that it all matches. I want it a little bit further down than I've stuck. So we'll bring that just down so that the borders are even. Like so. Now this is the photo mat, which is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. 4 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 1/ And there we have it there. Now what we do now, as you can see, I've cut one of my flowers here. I'm just going to stick that one down. So I'll just put some sticky down at the bottom. Like so. Now I'm just going to have a bit of a play here. Now with this one, we'll bring that down so it's not too far over the photo mat. Okay. So we'll just stick this down. Like so, and the excess piece here we'll just snip off. Now I'm finding that leaf is just in the wrong spot, so what I'm going to do is I'll cut that off. And then reattach it further down. So we just do our, like so. And there we have a very, very simple card constructed. These cards actually went together very, very quickly. Once you get the system working. This card here came from your 4x6 cut apart sheet. All I have done is I have got my Stanley knife and I have just cut from here around this flower down here to here. I may even chop a little bit more just to give me some playroom. So now the main thing is this is a 3/4 by 4 1/4 photo mat, which I've just done my blue around. So I actually attach the blue card to the white, because now you need to get your tape. And what I have done, I've just gone round with a little bit of blue to hide any of my little white cut marks. Now what we are going to do is we are going to slide the photo card in. And as you can tell, I haven't cut far enough, because what I want is this to sit like this, so I have to cut a little bit further. Okay. So let's see. And once again, I need to cut a bit further down here as well. So just keep and there we have Just get a nice border around like so. Now I've also, you need to just go round and edge your card. Okay, so I've got a 6x4 mat here, and I just cut off 1/8 of an inch up here and 1/8 of an inch off the top, so that when this sticks down, you will just have a very, very small border all the way round. And what I've done, I just got one of my little flowers that I made. Just edge it with that blue. And I'm going to tuck it underneath. Like so. And then we just get our pen just to add that little bit of extra oomph. And there we have a very, very quick and easy way of where you can actually use your florals by cutting and just slipping, and you can still get your photograph underneath. With this cards, the worst part of this has been in actual fact doing all your mats, but once you've actually cut all your mats out, the process of putting them all together is quite quick. We're on to our last 4 of our landscape 3x4s, and once again I've got 2 on photo mats, so all you have to do is cut a sheet of your paper, and remember the little cards that we just cut that little slither off, so that you just have that tiny little border. So there's that card done there, and I've edged the cards already. So the same goes for this one. I just used some of the odd card I had left lying over. And there we have those cards. So that makes it very easy. Okay, this card here, all I did was I've got my 3x4 and I've edged it in blue. I got some blue photo mat here, and this is 3 3/4 by just over 2 inches. And what I want is I want this to sit at the bottom like so, with just a little border. Now I just cut some of that spludgy paper that I had, and this is just over 3.5 inches, so that when you have a look, that blue, so what I tended to do was cut the sheet out first, then I just placed it onto some blue cardstock and actually eyeballed it and cut it, so that once again you've got that small tiny little border that goes all the way around like so. Now this is just a matter of now laying your flowers out, very similar to what I've got here. There we have it there. So I'm just going to attach my flowers, and I've inked them already. I'm going to put the big one in. And there we have that card finished and done. We will just chop off this little piece. And there we have that card there finished. With this card here, I have done the 3x4 in the blue. This has just is 3 3/4 by 2 3/4, and I've blue inked it. Make sure the script is running the right way. I found a little piece of this card, so we're just going to make the script run the right way. And what I did, I just measured this so that I would just have 1/8 of an inch all the way around, and I've inked it. I have got the saying here, a special day, which I've already put onto some blue card. So what we will do is put our special day down first, getting our borders working again. Then I will just lay my flowers where I think they need to be. Like so. So what I will do now is I will just stick these down. And there we have all of our cards done and finished. I've laid all the cards out now so you can see what the finished products looks like side to side. I hope you enjoyed this process. It did go together because I was doing 2 layouts the same, which is unusual. But till next time, thank you. And also, please don't forget, I do have a Facebook group which you can join. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment for me. Thank you. Bye.